setting up the I/O, the input-output settings of the AERO.one DTV is quite simple. If you're an AES plant, you're lucky. It comes pre-configured to accept AES at the input and produce AES at the output. You don't really have to adjust anything. If you're using SDI, you will have the AES outputs available at all times, but you'll have to select whether the inputs are going to be AES or they're going to be de-embedded from the applied SDI signal. Setup is pretty simple. If you go right down to Setup, and then down and over to I/O and into the I/O menu, this menu is rather long. There's quite a few settings in here. The I/O settings are actually at the bottom, so you can go backwards up through the set and get right to where the SDI settings are. Now, this is what's included is the ability to actually do some channel shuffling inside of SDI. You can do it by pairs. So here's where you'd set the input settings. Right now you can see that input 1 and 2, the source is coming from SDI, pair 1 and 2, and you can set all of the processing engine inputs, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. You can see that those are set to AES. If you go down to the next screen, this is where you select whether you want to re-embed the outputs. If you select embedding to be enabled, note that the clock source has to be SDI. If we're re-embedding into the signal to keep it synchronous, we need to keep SDI as the reference for the box. And you can see on the displays over here that the reference is happy and that there's an SDI signal present. So then if we look at how do we set the outputs, this is where the SDI signal, the SDI stream, the embedder gets its sources from. So where is it coming from? Since the AES outputs are always present, we use that to determine where that signal is coming from. So AES out 1 and 2 is the same as processing engine out 1 and 2. Just fitting processing engine out 1 and 2 on this screen was a little bit difficult. So AES out 1 and 2, the signal that's on AES 1 can now be routed to the SDI out 1 and 2. But you'll notice that as we flip through these, you can select any of the AES outputs. You can also select any of the SDI inputs. So it will come in through SDI and be re-embedded on the way out. So you can actually do some pretty handy channel shuffling. This is also where you can set to re-embed the output of the AC3 encoder. So you can select any of the AES outputs to be re-embedded, any of the original SDI inputs to be re-embedded, or any of the encoder outputs to be re-embedded. Very flexible, very easy. And again, once you're in the I/O menu, sometimes it's easier to start from the bottom and go up because the list is a little bit long.